Again, the main exam advantage is reusability, so you don't have to write the same code. If both the classes are dealing with same kind of functions and method, you can just inherit them. Okay, and mean let's say like if class B, like there's a class B, and if it is inherit from class A, then all other classes of B, like subclasses of B, will also automatically inherit from the class A also. Let's see an example. Let me create an example for inheritance. I'll create a class called person. So a person will have a name, he will have an age, and he will have a gender, right? So we will use the same properties for the child class, which is inheriting as well. So let me create a constructor. So I have created a simple class with three instance variables, nothing. So what you can do, you can create an object for this class. You can print these variables values that you will be able to do. So now what here we are doing to do is we are going to create inheritance concept here. Okay, so the class which I have first created, right? This is also called as parent class. Also you can call this as base class. Okay, and the second class which we will be creating, right, that will be called as child class or derived class. Okay, so let me show you some types of inheritance. You can have single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level. Now, in order to do this, let me create another one class. Let me create a class called create a class which is related to a teacher. I'll create a class called teacher. So if you want to make this as the child class or the inherited class, you have to give bracket and give the class name which you want to inherit. Okay, now this teacher is called as child class or derived class. So now, so teacher is also a person, right? So this person means he can also have name, age, and gender. So I'm going to create the constructor. Let's say I will give self. So if you can see name, age, and gender are already coming, let me initialize them. Gender. Apart from that, the teacher can also have some other variables. Let me add subjects. What are the subjects that teacher are teaching? Since I'm giving none, that means I don't want to give a value at when I'm creating a object. I can add it by adding a function or something. Even if I give value, also no problem. Even if I don't give, also it will not throw error. That's why I'm giving as none, like a default parameter value. And let me add something called grades. Let it be also none as of now. So now we have set at the initial values. Now, how do we inherit the name, age, and gender? So we can do it in two methods. Like either you can do it using your parent class method, or you can call the super function. So how do we use the super function or the parent class? Let's see it one by one. This time I am using the super class, or let me try both. Let me give. So like if you are using the parent class means you have to write the parent class name. So here our parent class is person dot, you have to call the constructor, then you have to give self. So you have to give the variable name which you want to inherit from the parent class. Okay. So this is how you will be initializing the inherited variable. So you don't have to initialize them again. So here you can give the extra whatever is that subjects. I want to create it as a list. So I'm creating at the empty list as of now. This as an empty list. Okay. So this is one way you can inherit the properties. Or in another way, you can call the super, uh, let's say like using a super class or super method. Okay, what it will do is it will create a temporary object reference for that parent class, so that you can also initialize the name explicitly. Okay, if I am using the super class, I don't want to use the self keyword inside the class. So I'll give super dot, just give the variable name which I am going to inherit. That's it. You can inherit in both the way. Either if you are using the parent class, use the above one. If you can do it with the help of the super class, you can also do it with that way. Okay. So these are the two ways to call the parent class constructor. So this init is the parent class constructor. Okay. So this is the way that you will be inheriting the properties. Now, let's say I have inherited. Let me add one more function as well. Add subjects. I'll give self new subject. So in order to add the subject to the list, first I will check whether the subject is already present or not. If the new subject that particular list, I'll just directly give not in. Then I can append. Giving a else statement, print. Same way you can do it for grades as well. You can add grades. Let's not go in that detailedly. Now we have inherited a class from the person class. Now let's try to create an object for this teacher. Let me create it as teacher1 is equal to class name. And now you can see the teacher is having name, age, gender, subjects, and grades as well. Now let me give the values. Let me give some name, age, and gender. One dot. Okay, now we will run the same code. Okay, when I'm calling this, I have to just give a new subject as the input. Okay, so this will add it, no problem, no need to print it. If you want, you can just print teacher one dot subjects and see the outputs inside the list. Okay, so now this is how you inherit from the parent class to the child class. This is called single inheritance, like one child class and one parent class concept. Okay, so if you let me copy this first. Okay, now we will go for multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance means one parent class. Yes.
Yeah, why none was coming when you didn't print the subject without when you didn't give the last statement? Print
No, I
teacher.
was trying to print that function. This one, right? I am trying to print it. This here I have not given any print statement inside this function, right? Here only in our case, if condition is satisfied. In if condition, I have not given any print statement. So there is nothing to print. So, but I try to print this function. It is showing as none.
Okay. How, like without using print statement, how you are trying to print it? You have simply mentioned a teacher one dot add subject.
Yeah, without I just remove the print statement. I just call the function simply. That's it.
That's why it was giving none.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it doesn't have anything to print. The output of this if the like this time if I have if the else condition is working in this particular part, this would have printed. But in our case, the if condition is the one that is being happen. But in if condition, we don't have any print statement or any output to print, so it is just showing the value as none.
Okay.
Okay, now we'll go for multiple inheritance. So multiple inheritance means one parent class, and a parent class or a base class can have multiple child classes, two or more child classes. So we'll go with the same concept. We already have one base class, we have one child class. We'll create one more child class. Let's say I will create a class for a student. Student, I am inheriting from the same teacher class. I'll just change some variables. Instead of gender, I will give grade for the student. And if you want, you can add subject. That's not necessary. Grade is enough. So name, age, and gender, I am inheriting from the parent class, which is person. Let me create a simple object for student. Okay, so this is how multiple classes can inherit the properties. So the name, age, and gender you have initialized only one time in your parent class. which can be if you are using as an inherited class or a parent class. The child classes, which is both teacher and student, can use the same properties or behaviors. So this is called inheritance concept. Multiple inheritance means one child class and you can have multiple, sorry, one base class and you can have multiple derived classes. Okay, and one more concept in the same thing we can go with is multi-level inheritance. So multi-level is like normally child will inherit the properties of the parent, right? So there will be a concept that parent class itself another inherited class. So in real life example means uh, grandparent, parent and children. So whatever the properties that your grandparent had will come to your parents, and when you are inheriting your parents properties, both your ancestors properties as well as the your parents properties will come to you, right? So that process is called multi-level inheritance. So the child class which is at the end level will inherit the properties of both the parent class as well as the grandparent class. That's what the concept of multi-level. So we already have one parent class and we, let's say we use this child class. Okay, I am going to create another one child class, which is, let's say, alumni, and this alumni is going to be the child class of the student, but the student is already a child class of person. So this alumni will have the properties of both student as well as the person class. Okay, so you can see here name, age, uh, and for alumni you can add, like, let's say what year he got graduated, like he's a old student, right? So you can use super method constructor of the, so you can give name, age, gender and grade. So I'm inheriting all these things from the student and I have graduated year by myself to initialize. You can, if you want, you can create a function like alumni fee structure or anything. You can create a function. You can use any of these inherited variables inside your function. Let me create a object. So you, if you try to print these variable using the alumni, you will be able to print it. This process is called multi-level inheritance. So multi-level in the sense, as I already said, the alumni class which we have created will inherit the properties of student. Since the student is already the uh, inherited class of person, right? So now alumni class will have both student as well as the person's class. Okay, any questions till now, guys?
Yeah. So in the alumni class which we have created, so instead of using super, do we need to use student or we can use the parent one as well?
No, you have to use student only because concept wise for alumni, student is the parent class. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
the logic wise that is the parent, but still what I am trying to say is the person class properties will come like inherited by default because student is having all the properties of person, right? That way it will come. You are not directly inheriting from the person. By student only you are inheriting. So you, if you want to inherit sorry, if you want to initialize the parent class constructor, you can use only the student as the parent. You have to refer only this as a parent. The properties obviously it will come, name, age and gender or from parent class will come. Why? Because that too student is inherited from them. That's how you will come. It's like It's like you won't be like owning the grandparents properties directly unless you are the son of your parents, right? So after your parents only it will come to you. That's the line.
Yeah, got it. Thanks.
One question.
Yeah.
In the student class, in that object, like when we said student one equal to student, so 10th we have mentioned as a string, the grade, when assigning the value. No, yeah,
Okay.
line number 38. And in the alumni, when we were initializing that, or like that variable, we have mentioned
Well,
it as an integer. So does it make any difference? Will it throw error or?
no, it will not make any difference. Like Python, right? Based on the value only, it will define the data type of that variable, right? So if I give as a string, it will take it as a string. If I give the value as an integer, it will take as an integer. We are not initializing the data type previously. That's the advantage in Python. Like if in C or Java, you will give integer A and B, you will define the variables like grade. So if you give integer value or if you give other than that any float or string value, it will throw a error. But here, until unless you give the value for that variable, it will then only it will define the data type. So if I give integer value, that in this alumni class, this grade will be a integer data type. It is based on the value which you are giving. It is not predefined.
So, okay, you understood that. So, but if we are saving this information in a database, just in case, I mean, currently we are not doing that, but in that case, won't it be a problem? I understand that Python is doesn't specify any data type. It will pick up whatever value we send it, or like we
Yes,
assign it.
if you are doing it in a database, then follow with the same rule. If you are choosing that particular variable as an integer,
Mhm.
when you are let's say I am taking these details, whatever Bob mail, this detail, I am just, let's say I am connecting to a database and I am getting the values from the database. On that time, when you are creating a record in a database itself, you will define it. When you are adding this 10 to the database, like adding a particular column, so before adding a column itself, you have to define in the database whether it's a text or it is an integer. That time, if you give as an integer, it will consider as integer and it will print here as an integer only. I am
Okay,
saying it's not, we didn't define it in Python. If you are
right,
talking about database connectivity, when you are
right.
creating a record in database, you will define it there itself.
That's fine. Okay, got it. Thanks.
So, Meenakshi, I have one question.
Yeah.
So, what if we have the same methods in both the parent and the child class? And if we are creating an object for the child class, which method will be called?
So if you are creating an object for child class
And if
method
we
will
have,
be called. Yeah,
so
that
we can
concept
still
is
have
called method overloading, which we'll be
override.
seeing in our upcoming activities. Yes,
Thank you.
we'll see that as well.
Actually, I have one question.
Yes,
Can we inherit from two different classes?
inherit from two different classes. No, only one class you can inherit. You can have multiple child classes, but not parent classes.
Okay.
Or that kind of concept, like let's say you are asking like let's say one child class with two father class, right?
Yeah.
That can be done with the it can be done. So what you can do is, like, let's say you have two classes. You have one father class and separate class called mother. Okay. So those are two separate classes. Okay. And let's say, for example, you are creating a class name child and you want to inherit both the properties of father and mother. Okay. In that case, what you can do is uh, I'll check that. I can check that. You can do it. You can inherit from two classes, but order of which class or which method will come first or initializing, I will check and let you know. Okay. Before or on in lunch, I will tell you.
Sure.
Guys, you can like hands on the same with in your spider. You'll start the concept in around like next 5 minutes.